I'm Britt Clennett in Hong Kong and welcome to ViuTV News. Coming up on tonight's show, more weapons tests in North Korea as Pyongyang works towards sending a gift package to the US. Meantime, Seoul conducts joint drill with a US supersonic bomber. US Senator John McCain blasts China for acting like a bully in comments set to spark a row between Beijing and Washington. Murder reconstruction on Black Hill. Police take suspects back to the crime scene to get to the bottom of grizzly hiker death case. All right, we begin with mounting tensions in the Korean peninsula rather. Pyongyang said today it is doing more weapons testing and threatened to send, quote, a bigger gift package to the US. It comes as Seoul announced it conducted a joint drill with a US supersonic B-1B Lancer bomber. Here's Graham Mackay with the details.
More powerful strategic weapons. That's the order from Kim Jong-un as quoted by North Korean state media on Tuesday, a day after the test launch of a souped-up Scud missile. Pyongyang routinely broadcasts details of test launches the following day. Tuesday's report announcing the rocket was an improved ballistic missile controlled by a precision guidance system fired from a new mobile launch vehicle, and that Kim personally oversaw the test. State media quotes the Supreme Leader as saying the launch was a great leap towards sending a bigger gift package to the Yankees, a reference to North Korea's ultimate goal of perfecting an ICBM that could hit the United States. Meanwhile, South Korea has confirmed it held joint military drills with a US supersonic B-1B Lancer bomber on Monday, a move Pyongyang calls practice for dropping nuclear bombs on the Korean peninsula.
Meantime, Chinese State Councillor Yang Jiechi is in Tokyo to renew China-Japan ties. A key focus of the discussions was, of course, how to deal with North Korea. Here's Tokyo correspondent Maya Yoshida with more.
Japan is urging China to play a bigger role in restraining North Korea's nuclear development. Tokyo thinks Pyongyang's actions has reached a new level of provocation. China's top diplomat Yang Jiechi arrived in Tokyo to hold talks with Japanese officials on the same day when North Korea fired yet another ballistic missile that likely landed within Japan's exclusive economic zone. Ahead of the meeting with Japan's foreign minister, Yang met with Japan's top security advisor Shotaro Yachi, and they held a 5-hour discussion. And there, Japan's Yachi urged Yang that Japan and China should work together to pile up pressure on North Korea and make the country obey the United Nations resolutions. Japan and China have a difficult political history, especially on territorial issues, but Tokyo wants to put that aside when it comes to North Korea. Meanwhile, China seems to have a more cautious tone on joining hands with Japan.
That was Maya Yoshida in Tokyo for us there. Now, the two women charged with murdering the estranged half-brother of North Korea's leader will face a higher court in Malaysia. This after a district magistrate court twice deferred prosecutors' requests for the case to be moved pending collection of documents. Indonesian Siti Shah's lawyer said the police and prosecution hadn't supplied the defence with documents and evidence needed for the case. The two women faces the death penalty if found guilty of killing Kim Jong-nam at Kuala Lumpur airport in February. The pair say they were pawns in an assassination plot by Pyongyang. And it's down to business for Li Keqiang in Europe. The Chinese premier is embarking on a 3-day visit to Germany and Belgium, where he'll meet European leaders to deepen trade ties with the bloc. Here's our Beijing correspondent Dan Epstein with what Li's hoping to get out of the visit.
Well, Premier Li Keqiang arrives in China with hopes that his European counterparts will begin to be more amenable to this idea of China as being a champion for free global trade, and that China is a key proponent for addressing climate change under the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, a sticking point will be market economy status, which European countries continue to deny China, saying that China doesn't present an even playing field when it comes to European countries trying to access China's market, and that many of China's biggest industries are still state-run. Now, China will remind these European naysayers of the tremendous profits which these European countries are able to garner in China regardless. And it's along these same lines that China, or Premier Li Keqiang, will be pushing for further cooperation in Belt and Road projects, reminding people of the great opportunity, economic and developmental. But now, one of the real issues is human rights. Now, many countries in Europe will be pushing their leaders to talk to China along this point, but China, as always, remains muted. This is one topic that China will consider other countries as simply meddling in its own domestic affairs. So it's yet to be seen to what extent European countries will be willing to engage with China with this one topic being forbidden.
Well, in a speech made in Sydney, US Senator John McCain blasted China for behaving like a bully. His comments are set to spark a row between Beijing and Washington just days before delegates from both countries are scheduled to attend a regional security conference in Singapore.
As China has grown wealthier and stronger, it seems to be acting more and more like a bully. It is refusing to open more of its economy so that foreign businesses can compete fairly. It's stealing other people's intellectual property. It's asserting vast territorial claims that have no basis in international law. And it's using its trade and investment as tools to coerce its neighbors.
Local news now, and to the latest on the death of a 20-year-old hiker who police believe was lured to a slope on Black Hill in Lambton before being pushed over. Police took 2 suspects back to the scene today to reconstruct the events. It occurred along the 3rd section of the Wilson Trail. Police took them back to the scene separately. Bosco Kwok was found dead near a hilltop there yesterday morning. More than a day after he left home to play nighttime war games, police found suspicious stab wounds on him and arrested 3 friends who were with him when he went missing. And police confirmed there were no explosives in a suspicious package that was found outside Ocean Terminal in Tsim Sha Tsui this afternoon. We'll just hear the bomb there. Now, that's a loud blast that we just heard was police blowing up the suspicious object, which was made of 7 tubes bound together with wiring and a clock attached. The fake bomb was discovered across the cruise terminal at around 2 p.m. and police quickly evacuated shoppers and storekeepers from parts of the mall. Police are treating it as a bomb threat case for now. Well, it has been 3 months since the government first introduced food trucks here in Hong Kong. The pilot schemes already have seen 2 operators dropping out. Dessert cafe Xiao Tian Gu announced yesterday it would withdraw. It said it was having difficulties complying with the targeted time frame. Capital Cafe quit in March due to business concerns. The Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development said he respects their decisions, adding that the government is still figuring out the best way for operators to run their businesses.
I think this is a normal process. Some people would like to get in, and some think this environment may not be for them. And I think we need to respect how they would like to operate. So I'm confident that this scheme will bring out the best for the tourism attractions in Hong Kong.
Marine police intercepted a sampan carrying 5 Vietnamese illegal immigrants, including a 1-year-old infant, in the waters of Sai Kung this morning. 2 ringleaders were arrested as well. Police said there was a dangerous chase as the boat sped off when the officers tried to stop them. They also noted the boat had no safety equipment. Well, a day of rice dumplings and dragon boat racing in Hong Kong today as the city celebrates Chun Ung Festival. Evelina Leung takes a look at the celebrations around town, including a special parade in Tai O.
Chun Ung Festival, a day to commemorate the death of a Chinese hero who drowned himself in protest against corrupt rulers. To make sure the fish don't eat his body, glutinous rice dumplings are thrown into the water and people beat drums to scare away the fish. The beating of the drums has turned into the annual dragon boat races. These races attract people of all ages, including students. These secondary schoolers have been among the prize winners over the past 6 years, and they're looking to extend their good results. Over in Tai Po, 17 races were held with 76 teams taking part. In Shingmun River in Sha Tin, the atmosphere was just as upbeat. Scores of residents lined both sides of the river, watching the rowers battle it out. A total of 24 races took place in Shatin, including one celebrating the 20th anniversary of Hong Kong's handover. This group of rowers taking part in 7 of the races say their aim is to finish in the top 3. These women say as long as they're united, they will win. During this festival, a water parade also takes place in Tai O. It starts off with local fishermen collecting the deity statues from the 4 temples in the area. Then they put them on sampans, which are towed by dragon boats through the waters in Tai O to pacify the wandering water ghosts. Paper offerings are burned along the way to pray for the safety and happiness of the residents there. The event was listed on the 3rd National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2011.
I think it's very festive. The people prepared a lot, and yeah, it's got a nice vibe.
Later on in the evening, a celebratory feast is held to end the festival.
Well, coming up next, the latest from the world of business. And British Airways CEO Alex Cruz apologised for the IT glitch that stranded thousands of passengers over the weekend. Cruz said the problem had been fixed and the majority of passengers have now reached their destinations. Flights at both Heathrow and Gatwick airports are back on track. The BA boss said the global computer failure would be fully investigated and vowed that it would not happen again. The CEO doesn't plan to resign, however, over the debacle.
The actual problem only lasted a few minutes. So there was a power surge and there was a backup system which did not work at that particular point in time. It was restored after a few hours in terms of some hardware changes, but eventually it took a long time for messaging and for systems to come up again as the operation was picking up again. We will find out exactly why the backup systems did not trigger at the right time.
New developments on the pending sale of Toshiba's chip business. Sources say Western Digital Corp may join a consortium of Japanese government money and private equity firm KKR to bid for the unit. The consortium is seen as the favoured bidder given the presence of state-backed fund INCJ and the Development Bank of Japan. It will likely be taken as the government's stamp of approval. It comes as Western Digital backed down from an earlier demand for an immediate majority stake. Singapore's central bank is handing down the final penalties for banks linked to Malaysia's 1MDB state fund. Credit Suisse and United Overseas Bank were fined a combined $1 million for breaching anti-money laundering laws. With the ruling, the Monetary Authority wrapped up its 2-year investigation into banks involved in 1MDB transactions. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi began a visit to Berlin aimed at attracting more German companies to invest in the subcontinent and to improve bilateral